When you are using bleeding tissue paper to add color to your artwork, what you want to do is get the colors that you want and think about the color wheel when you are doing that, because when you get this bleeding tissue paper wet, it will spread the colors out onto your artwork and the colors will start to mix and tie-dye together. So choose the colors that you like. Then you're going to get parts of your paper wet. So get a paintbrush, make sure that your paintbrush is clean, and then you will start to get your paper wet first just using water and a paintbrush. So I double checked and make sure my paintbrush is clean, and I start to spread water over top of my paper. You can start in sections or you can cover the whole thing. And then once you are done covering your paper in water, then you start to place your bleeding tissue paper in different sizes and places onto your paper, and it's cut into squares or rectangles right now, and you're welcome to tear it to the size or shape that you want. And you start to place it onto your paper, and you want those colors to overlap so that they mix and blend together. You just go ahead and cover your whole paper with that bleeding tissue paper. As you are sticking it down, the water that you put on your paper should help it stay down, but you can also use your paintbrush to put water back over top of it and really get the color from the bleeding tissue paper to bleed onto your artwork. Another option you have, instead of putting the bleeding tissue paper over your artwork, you can cut your artwork out and then make a completely separate piece of paper full of the color and the bleeding tissue paper. So here I cut out my artwork, I'm getting a new piece of paper, writing my name and class code on the back, and I'm going to do the same process where I start to get my paper wet and cover it with different colors of bleeding tissue paper that I think will mix well and look nice together on my paper. And I'm overlapping my tissue paper using my paintbrush to make those colors stick down, and covering my whole piece of paper again with a bleeding tissue paper. To make sure that that color really gets onto your paper, you want to make sure it's wet enough. So sometimes I will come around with a spray bottle and spray and make sure that the color stays down. And the other thing you can do if you don't have time to cover your entire paper with the bleeding tissue paper is you can use your paintbrush and water to spread the color onto the white parts of your paper. You are also welcome to, if you want that to be part of your color combination, is to have some white areas, you can do that too. Once you're done and your paper feels like you can pull the bleeding tissue paper off without your base paper tearing, go ahead and start to pull off the tissue paper to reveal what your background looks like and how everything tie-dyed together. If you don't like how it's looking, or it doesn't seem like the color is going onto your paper, you can always put it back down and add a little bit more water to it. And then once you're done creating your background and it's dry, you can then glue your artwork on top of it. Make sure you're using our gluing rhyme dot dot not a lot. Just putting dots of glue around the edges and then giving it a little bit of a massage to make sure it's stuck down. And that is another way you can use bleeding tissue paper with your artwork.